Good afternoon, folks. Slightly earlier, 16 minutes past 21. Sorry, I'm going to bring in Donald straight from the off to talk about a game that we absolutely hammered and we absolutely deserve to win. Never mind what people are saying. Don't mind watching the screen. Just look at the actual comments on Twitter and the result itself and who we beat and what the scoreline was and how many men we have. Donald, hanky panky hanks, welcome back. How are we?
I agree wholeheartedly with everything that you just said. I think imagine how good Shamrock Rovers would be if someone in the league challenged them a little bit, to be able to win the European Cup, not get knocked out of the FAI Cup in the first round. But look, to be fair, I probably shouldn't be on. I'm like all over the place with sleep and all that kind of stuff, but I just can't miss the opportunity to come on and have a laugh about what happened earlier. So I'm delighted to be here. In the circumstances that I'm here, and let's have a bit of fun.
Yeah, and Chris will be joining us in the offing. He was obviously very busy. He's probably still fighting in Oriel Park. I think he caused that row, whatever happened after Oriel Park. But look, we're not even going to attempt to say, as much as we dislike the other team and as much as that rivalry and league challenges and FAI honours are and all that stuff and the players, ex-players, all that stuff, I don't even think we can pretend that Rovers weren't excellent and, we kind of weren't really at the race, I suppose, for a lot of it. But then again, 10 men, Oriel Park, Sunday kickoff, first round of the FAI Cup, you draw Shamrock Rovers out of the hat. Even the staunchest of fans thinking the worst. But then you get a game like that, and it's not what we haven't had in some cases, in some small pockets of minutes in the game. But throughout the season, what I mean. But for 90 minutes to a man, to hang in there, to play the way they did, to defend the way they did. We might disagree over the man of the match that was announced on the Tannoy, but it's an unbelievable achievement. It's an unbelievable result. I mean, let's make no mistake about it. Shamrock Rovers were an excellent side. But I mean, we done exactly what we had to do, especially with 10 men after half an hour. I mean, we get into the nooks and crannies game, but just as an overall performance, it's got to be right up there just for that. Because if it was a league game, I don't think it'd be as good, if that makes sense. I know you would have got 3 points, but the fact that we put these, I can't curse, it's only 20 past 9, but these boys, these people out of the cup in the first round, the only way it could have been sweeter is if it was a semi-final.
Yeah, so I'm gonna disagree with one or two things that you said.
She might as well go.
I won't disagree with that. It was an incredible performance from Dundalk, and to a man, they were absolutely excellent and gave everything coming off the back of Thursday night's game, down to 10 men for 60 minutes, minus their captain, best player, minus one of the centre backs who's been playing for whatever. Well, Rovers were not. I thought Rovers were incredibly disappointed in the fact that they were playing against 10 men for 60 minutes, and the only tactic they had was to belt the ball over the top of our defenders. Like, you wouldn't think playing against the greatest team of all time in the League of Ireland that all we had to do was try and shut down Pico Lopez, who's about 600 years old and has his shorts up to his neck. Like, he was their playmaker. Every time the ball came to him, it's like, right, I'm just going to bang this over the top and Johnny Kenny's going to run onto it. They didn't have anything. They couldn't break us down without that type of football, which I was absolutely shocked at. Like, I listened to Stephen Bradley after. We will talk about them Dundalk more, but,
it is funny to put. It's funny to poke fun straight at the off, though.
Yeah, got to get the shots in. So the Stephen Bradley was talking about, like, they played well, they created lots of chances, and like dreamland. I was so disappointed with them. But at the same time, we set up exactly the same way we set up in Oriel the last time we played them. Played 3 centre-backs, 2 wing-backs, matched their system. We did it for half an hour. And like, you kind of got... I was certainly getting the feeling in the ground that with a little bit of luck, there was a result there for us because we were matching them all over the park again.
Yeah.
Now, the little bit of luck was Johnny Kenny heading it from a yard out over the bar, which if you saw one of your defenders do it, you would think that is an absolutely incredible clearance. How have you not put that in? but to put it over. So
yeah,
and like sorry, I
think that miss was made. That miss was made all the sweeter by the fact that he had done so well just in the build up to it to be caught onside. I know Boyle had the hand up very early. Johnny made a really good run. I'm calling him Johnny because we're think about mates, we're not. But Kenny had a great run and he just caught it perfectly and he done so well, and that added to the hilarity of. Now look, you could give him the benefit of the doubt, but we won't. But I mean, you could mention the fact that the ball's bounced a little high off the ground, but he probably had time to take a touch, down maybe out on his chest. I don't know, but it was just, and in a way, when it bounced out, you had a wee thought that he's not going to get this. It's just going to be one. It's just going to be too high for him. That the ball just bounced so high for him, he's never going to get it. But that added to the
I thought it was going to bounce right over his head, like he was going to go under it. And
that would have been, imagine, and then Boyle just cleans it up and takes the ball up the field.
Yeah, and somehow it was funnier that he did manage to get his head on it and put it over. But like that was, I think the whole game changes on bits and pieces that happen, and that was a huge chance. The red card is obviously a huge incident and talking point, but like. Yeah, not that we were comfortable. The goalkeeper again had an absolutely fantastic game. Everybody had a fantastic game. The goalkeeper did exactly what we all hope he would do in games like this. He made some absolutely massive saves, came for crosses, won everything that he had to win, and was quick off his line because they only had one tactic, which was just to chip the ball over the top. So we had to come out and mop some of them up. But they were, like to a man, we said this already, but like to a man, they were like Dundalk were absolutely excellent tonight. The stand, I gotta give a shout out to the stand, the people in the stand, because like the shed was rocking, obviously, as you'd expect it to be for a cup match against Rovers. But the stand for the second half, there was clapping, there was singing, there was standing ovations for substitutes. It was absolutely electric.
I love the fact you said I love the fact because I said in the stand. That's why I said as well. Just for the view, it just never went anywhere else. But I love the fact you said there was clapping in the stand. It's like you would think it was the posh end of the stadium. I don't know what it is. But when the stand is rocking, it is like I know it's crazy loud when the stand gets going, isn't it?
And it only happens on like really, really special occasions. Like you think of some of the European games, I think it might have happened, or like playing Cork back in the day, and like even going back, Jesus, loads and loads of years. But it doesn't happen all that often because most of the times people in the stand are just pissed off about something. And like I've been there as well. I'm part of it.
Yeah. And the giving out and the shouting, it echoes across into the dugout, doesn't it? You can hear it, and you know who's saying it because you can see, people know each other that well up there. You know who said that. That's Mickey, and that's John, and that's whoever it is.
Oh yeah, and you can almost count on certain people shouting certain things at some point during the game because they do it every single week. It's amazing fun being up there, but it's not always the most, definitely not always the most vocal or most, vocal is the only word I can think of, but they don't normally make the most noise. Even like I don't know if you guys mentioned it the other night, but the Gibraltar, the Magpie fans were singing "Is This a Library" in the stand last week, and I'm like, sometimes it is, but not today. Today it was absolutely bananas. Great.
Yeah, and I think it was a culmination of everything, wasn't it? It's because the game and the kickoff time probably had. I know it wasn't a sellout, but I know if it was a sold out, people didn't turn up, but there was a few seats missing on the stand side. But it's just because it's them, because it's 10 men, because we're not expected to win. And like I know our record against them in the cup is actually a lot more impressive than I thought. I think they've only beaten us 3 times. It's in Oriel Park and even in the league as well. So it's a really good record we have. We probably do ourselves the service. But look, we can talk about the opposition all night, but we'll get straight. We can mention the bookings of Paul Doyle, but we'll talk about the goal first. I think the bit I took pleasure from the goal from Ryan O'Kane. If you watch the replay back, there's a guy standing in the corner flag on the Rovers away end, and he's trying to rush Ryan O'Kane into taking the corner. And if you watch the replay back, he's just shouting, "Come on!" at him. So Ryan obviously just goes there and hits the corner, and then it falls. There's a bit of a fuffle in the middle, and it falls to him in the middle, and it's in the back net. And I took immense pleasure because I would have loved the camera to pan back to that guy who was rushing young Ryan O'Kane. But it's it's great that Manus hasn't gotten down to it either, because I'm not a big fan of Manus. I think there's a lot of hype over that for luck. He's been a great servant, but they really hyped that for luck. But it's probably up until then, even though we're even enough at 11-11, we probably earned the goal. You know, like we fought our battles. We've, you know, up until then, up until the sending off, you know, it was a pretty even enough game, although not exciting. But you kind of felt there was a different kind of buzz in the air than when we scored. It seemed to be, you know, Muller's first goal. They've gone kind of heartedly over to the Rover side, maybe a little bit, and that seemed to G up everybody. Then, obviously, look at we were sending off later on, but you know, there was that little bit of. I had a little bit of shock. Like I was sitting on the couch and I was up off the couch. Like, you know, like it's almost a shock that we've gone ahead against this opposition, which we haven't probably had for years, because we've always been toe to toe with them. So it was great just to get that little bit of kind of probably nervousness out of the way, maybe more than anything, because there was nothing we didn't deserve.
Yeah, I think there was probably, like, before the game, there might have been a bit of like not a worry, but like just coming off Thursday night and you know, the lads being tired and stuff, and then seeing the team sheet. And knowing that the main man is missing, and like wondering about where goals are going to come from, and it's just like to get one in the way we got one, and even just before, because it was Robbie McCourt got us the corner by like going on a wee run into the box, and I wasn't sure whether it should have been a corner or if it should have been a goal kick, but like, so even just before the corner we came close to scoring, and Johannes had almost scored from a shot before that. So there was I thought it was building. But I think the biggest thing that we all would have been worried about was where our goal was going to come from. Yeah. Because we knew we'd work hard and the lads would give everything. But it was just that little bit of like, would we have enough, or would we get a bit of luck or whatever it would be to get a goal to get us in front, to then, you know, to have us, not for something to hold on to, but just to give us a bit of a boost and a bit of confidence then for the rest of the match. So it was one of those where, like, it didn't matter who got it. It didn't matter how it came. It's just like as long as we got our noses in front, and then we were set. But for him to get his first his first professional goal? I'm not sure if it is or not, but
I think it is,
for us anyway.
Yeah.
I think actually I haven't checked. I think Manus is still trying to get down to save it actually. But
and that's what I mean. That's what adds to these goals. Like, these goals are going to go down as outstanding goals because of the team, because of your man shouting at Ryan O'Kane, because of the goalkeeper in the nets. You know, that it just seemed that little bit of, like, if it was Drogheda, it'd be great, but it's not. And it's just that little elevation that you have. Like, I was buzzing for the podcast tonight because I knew we'd have, like, we've got X amount of people watching, we've comments flying in, because it's a different, and because it's a cup tie as well, and it just has that every little minute detail. Alan Manus in the nets, you know, big dose, and you know, like, we just had that kind of, that little bit of, you know, that extra kind of energy and zip about it, hasn't it? It's just that wee bit of, yeah, it's just like, get into them. You know, it's a pity it's the first round, it's not the semi-final, but look, they're out now, and we get to run it and choose and see what the draw is like.
If they hadn't beaten almost anybody else in the cup today, I wouldn't have been on the podcast.
Yeah, you would, like, yeah, grand. Look, we might go tomorrow. Yeah. Well, the man who would have dictated if we go tonight or tomorrow, we'll bring him in now. This power timer, Christopher. Don't go disappearing on me like the other night.
I don't get to dictate anything.
We were just talking about, we only got in all the crack and talking about Rovers and this and fans shouting at Ryan O'Kane before we took the corner. We're just as far as the goal. We haven't really gotten stuck in the
excellent.
It's just, it's all the sweeter, isn't it? And I just wanted to mention, Kieran Callan's been a comment. We were talking just off air. There's been a statement released from Dundalk regarding a racial
racial comment made towards an opposition player.
Yeah, and they've identified the person as well. I think the fans or people, the spectators, had told Dundalk and basically hung this player. Just, we look at that, we have to condemn that kind of stuff. It's a disgrace, and we hope they're dealt with. And,
yeah,
you know,
I think it's interesting though. Shamrock Rovers said that a number of Dundalk fans had reached out to them over the incident. Like, so, you know, it just goes to show there's zero tolerance for that sort of behavior.
And look, anybody found doing that, look, absolutely out the gate. Yeah. You know, lifetime ban, hopefully. Yes, okay, and we did see that. Yes, so cheers for the heads up. Chris, we're just as far as the goal. So, you know, what did you, like, even in the build up to the goal? I was just saying, there was a guy, at the risk of repeating myself, you're listening online later on, you might edit this out, but there's a guy shouting at Ryan O'Kane, and it was just so sweet that he was shouting at him. Ryan O'Kane pings the ball in, and Hayden Muller finishes, and it's, look, it's well, quids in.
Yeah, it's good because the director just cut to that close cam just as they see the boys leaning over the fence having a go at them. It was ideal. Yeah, look, there's something about corners that end for us of late as well. Like it seems to be. I think I'd say you probably only going back a few weeks ago, we were kind of begrudgingly saying that we don't score enough from set pieces. Corners used to be something in our arsenal that Dundalk could use all the time, and we hadn't done that in ages. And all of a sudden, for the past few games, that's been, the thing that's really put us ahead. In particular today, I think, goal sweet. It just, it was like, surely that wasn't Muller that landed to.
I thought it was Illy Coco.
I was like, no way, it couldn't be. That's has to be Muller's best performance for us ever.
Absolutely.
I think it's funny. He played there against Finn Harps in the pre-season. Out in the right wing, and Gally, I remember us having a conversation of, is his best position actually out on the right? He's found himself in the central more often, but I think it's just kind of proven that maybe that is better for him there, especially set pieces. When if the ball just falls within the Shamrock Rovers defender decide to go the opposite direction, it makes life so much easier.
Because usually it's us.
Yeah, exactly. Normally when you make a mistake like that, you normally look at it's Dundalk. They've made a mistake again. It's an easy goal for the opposition, and we're sitting here going, why do we keep doing this to ourselves? But look, hey, it's Rovers tonight, so happy days. I'll take that.
It is that all the sweet. We were we kind of half mentioned in and around the goal, the Paul Doyle sending off. Then is probably the biggest talking point of the game, really. But you'd commented in it could be harsh. Donald, then you'd kind of rebutted on the debate that it was probably stupid. But even if you look at the first yellow card, our Rovers players more looking for it. He's crazy anyway to do it, regardless of the first yellow card. He's crazy to go and do it. It probably is harsh overall, but even Adrian and Flanagan had said on the podcast, or on the LMFM on the League of Ireland, you could see that the referee debated when he realised who the yellow went for. He had no choice. He kind of almost debated not giving it to him because he just said, he kind of thought as if I just gave you a yellow card a minute ago. But he had no real choice, did he? You kind of gave him, you give the referee nowhere to go with stuff like that. That's the Chris.
Oh, grand.
We go with harsh first and then turn to stupid then after, are we?
So I'll go harsh first. That note. I think the first tackle, I think he was laid in on it. I can see why a yellow was given. But then straight after that, there was a player in on one of our defenders, was it?
I think it was Johnny Kenny.
Yeah, Johnny Kenny. And it was equally as bad as Doyle's yellow card, and got away with absolutely nothing at all. Just a quick, don't do that again.
Yeah.
Now, as Flano said to me after the match there, surely when it came to the second yellow card for Doyle, you kind of turn around to him and you say, hey, you're on a tightrope already. Don't, that's just a pullback. But if you do anything stupid again, I'm going to send you off. And you're giving me how many times have we talked about referees here? And, don't give them an opportunity to send you off or to make a stupid decision, because they'll do it. And I just thought, from Doyle's point of view, he'd be annoyed that he allowed the referee to make that decision. But I just thought it was a nothing in it. Even where it was on the pitch, it's in the middle of the park. It's not like, there's a goal scoring opportunity or something. You turn around, you talk to the player and say, I don't want to send you off, but if you're going to do something stupid like that again, I'm going to send you off. You can say then, I've given you adequate warning. And then he goes and he books Shepherd later on for the wind blowing the ball off the marker, the vertical kick, for all the time wasting Shep done tonight.
Yeah,
that was what he got booked for.
He actually done one of the best pieces of time wasting. I think, I don't know, it was Andy Boyle threw the ball to him and he let it go between his hands to bounce off his boot. So it would bounce away. I think that is incredible. Whatever goalkeeping coaching, I don't know if Dermot's doing it for him, but Peter Kerry's teaching, that is just it's a little piece of just that wee insight to what, look, lads, let's waste as much time as we can. But yeah, you're right. I think the pulling back of the jersey, if he pulls the jersey back the first offence, he probably doesn't even get booked. But he really gives you just can't step out of line, especially in that kind of game. I know it's the middle of the park, he's miles away, he probably shouldn't even do it, but it's just really frustrating to kind of, because then you're kind of thinking, right, heads down, lads, this is going to be this could be a whitewash. We're just going to have to try and hang in here. And it just gives the lads an uphill battle, considering, like Donald had mentioned, the lineup that we had as well. We're missing Louis and Pat Hubin, which is a bit of a surprise. missing. We didn't know if he'd been left out with injuries or he's got the European game in mind last week.
Skip said that he had taken a slight strain from Thursday night, and rather than risk him for this and not have him available for the 2 legs, they said they were going to just going to leave him out. So it ended up being a masterstroke.
Yeah, that's it. That was, I think we mentioned last week, we kind of thought the same lineup would start, and then there was a load of changes. Alfie Lewis came back, and we were kind of thinking, oh, this could be just maybe one eye next week. Maybe he's just written it off. But I mean, it turned out to be absolutely brilliant. These lads were absolutely immense. You know, like to get into half time, you know, like Rovers had a couple of chances. Like, don't let already mention Johnny Kenny will kick himself.
Poor Donald's sitting there waiting to have a go at the referee. Would you let him? Will you?
Go on. We'll take. We'll edit this. We'll take the stupid side.
I think we can go for a coffee or something here, Callie. Just
Everybody, put your feet up for a minute. No. So the one thing I was thinking was if he hadn't, just 2 things. The first yellow that he got, I thought if that happened in front of the Rovers dugout, he was going to get sent off.
Yeah,
they would have gone absolutely mental. It looked from where I was looking at it, it looked like a bad challenge. Now, Johnny Kenny's looked like a bad challenge. Johannes had one 2 minutes after that looked like a bad challenge that he got away with as well. I totally get that, the way the yellow cards were going, the pulling the jersey isn't anywhere near as bad as those. But that is always a yellow card. And it's like a recent thing in football where if you really obviously pull someone back just as they're about to counterattack, you're going to get carded. Yeah. Now, the only thing I can think is that maybe the referee was like, the Rovers are obviously about to hit a long ball because they've done it with every single time they've gotten the ball, just launched it forward. So he might have thought this is a goal scoring opportunity because they have the ball at their feet and all they're going to do is just belt it forward. So this is a dangerous situation.
I like that theory. I like that theory and that little dig all at the same time. That's genius.
That's what I'm on.
We need to clip that.
The double hang special.
Yeah, this is
a two for one special.
Yeah. You get with one side and then you catch on the other side on the way back.
Yeah. You get the backhanded.
The reason I was saying that it was stupid was it's just you're on a yellow, you're on the edge of the Rovers D. There's absolutely no point doing that.
No.
And the referee obviously did look at him and was like, I have to give him the yellow because I've started the process now and it's going to look silly if I don't do it. But it's just, I think we had this conversation. It might have been the last time I was on about it, right? Probably every time I'm on, I have the exact same conversation. Don't give the referees a reason to give you a yellow card. Yeah. It's just there's sometimes where you're like, you're asking Dundalk players to foul someone, because there was a brilliant situation in the first half where you're screaming at Alfie Lewis to foul Graham Burke. I think he got away from him and slid the ball in for Johnny Kenny and whatever. But there's certain scenarios where you're like, okay, look, he'll take a yellow card there, but that wasn't one of them. And I get that in the context of where the yellow cards are coming from and what they're being given for, it does seem a bit harsh to book him for that and not book the other ones. But just let it go, or try and be cuter about how you're tackling them or something. I don't know. It's just stupid if you ask me. Nobody asked me. I just told everybody. Nobody asked me.
I did ask you, and then I forgot to go.
You did. Yeah. Fair enough.
And even look, there's a lot of. I think we mentioned almost on every podcast. The halftime team talk must be really interesting. It probably changes from week to week up in Oriel Park because they seem to have so many lackluster and inconsistent. But we come out in the second half, and we obviously everybody's expecting this onslaught from Rovers, and they didn't disappoint. I mean, look, I know, and I probably gave him too much credit in the opening of the show, and Donald was straight on to me saying they weren't that great. But with the talent that they had, you're obviously, and even if you look at their bench, you were expecting, right, these boys, we're going to go 6 at the back here. We're going to get 9 outfield players. But even with our luck, we seem to get that little bit of luck that we haven't got all season. Like Darrell Leahy's clearance, you nearly forget that, the header off the line. And
that was unbelievable.
These little bits that just seem to fall for us. All the little bounces off Rovers players between us and Sloggett had a couple, but they seem to go for the Dundalk feet. It seemed to go to our feet and not theirs. And it always seemed to be building. Obviously, got that nervousness as the time went on, but it always seemed to be that. I don't want to sound cliche, but it looked like Rovers were never going to score. Does that make sense? Even though they had that so much onslaught on us, it never seemed to break for them. Like Donald said, it was long ball.
Yeah, it was pretty much just long ball all the time, and they were hoping for we would make a mistake somewhere and give the opportunity. I think that's what they were waiting for. And I think at the end, Stephen Bradley said they had 21 shots. And he said with 21 shots, they would expect to have won that match.
Sick, no.
He didn't say 21 shots. He didn't say how many on target, or he didn't say how many were straight at the goalkeeper. Like that's
exactly.
That's stupid.
But this is the thing. Yeah, but this is the thing. And that's exactly what I said to Adrian Taff after. I said that's what sometimes statistics can skew. Like 21 shots doesn't guarantee you a win, because where are those shots? How many are on target? Like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Like that's, I think the other thing is that at halftime and right because we had scored and then the sending off happened after, I think it's for Stephen O'Donnell, the way to play that match is do not allow them to score. And that's it. All other game plans is out the door. Don't worry about formation. Don't worry about ending. That is just the only goal of that game, is to not allow them to score, because no one wants this to go to extra time ahead of more games during the week. Penalties in after. Bad enough having to play, 10 men running around doing extra stuff there tonight. So I think it was about really managing that game was what Stephen O'Donnell had to do tonight. And you've seen Eddie, I think it's probably one of the best managed games from a managerial point of view tonight. He was yelling at lads to hit the ground when they need to hit the ground. The quick release balls seemed to be disappeared in the second half completely. And then when needed to, another ball would just fire out of nowhere. Just
I'll have to mention, I get another mention with there because some of the balls get out, Castleton Bells footballers. So I'll have to mention one of them and that. Definitely just hanging on there, throwing the ball into the shed, into the train tracks.
Yeah.
But it all fell into place, didn't it? Yeah.
And that's the thing I think for Stephen Bradley, then he was kind of caught on, after having 4 bad results really on the back of this. I need to have a good performance. I need to score a goal. I need to get through to the next round, and I need to protect players for Thursday. So he was coming a multitude of things coming into that game. I think that's what happened in the end. Like I couldn't work out of shape. I couldn't do anything. It just seemed like Johnny Kenny looks a shadow of the player that he once was, and Graham Burke just kind of wanted to sing the team tune, write the team tune, wanted to do everything.
Yeah.
Right. And it just, when he ran out of things to do and he got frustrated, so did Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah. Do you think it was a case of
frustration across that whole team then?
Yeah. You kind of got the impression, even with the subs that Rovers made, they just, they probably did just assume it'll break for us eventually.
Yeah.
We're going to get a goal here.
It was just weight of numbers. It was weight of numbers, and just eventually something's going to toll here.
Yeah.
If only they had, if they had an amazing central midfielder that they left on the bench and brought on to play on the right wing. If only they could have brought him on earlier, because he's great at creating chances and scoring goals and stuff. I can't remember his name, but he used to be really good. I think
another former defender who had an absolute torrid of a game today was Sean Hoare. My good God, he'll never want to play beside the shed again.
Yeah,
everything went out. Everything.
Yeah,
I don't like to. I like you guys know me. Anybody that listens to this will know I don't like to give any of their players any props. But I will say that I'm a big fan of Sean Hoare tying his shoelaces instead of going off. They had his number up.
Yeah,
and Mickey Duffy had called his name out. Like everyone in the stadium knew Sean Hoare's going off, and he stayed tying his boots to make sure he didn't trip up on the way off. to put the last nail in the embarrassing coffin that he had tonight. But that was so somebody had put up about how they were playing 4 centre backs. Like Sean Hoare was playing on the right hand side because they have to protect old man Finn for Thursday night. So they are, their squad is really, really great, but they are struggling with injuries in certain places, and their goalkeeper being 600 years old,
with a dodgy finger.
And their main playmaking centre back hardly able to breathe because his shorts are up so high. Like they have some problems with some of their players, but we had to we have a much smaller squad than them, and we had to manage without our best player and play Thursday night. Did they have a European game?
They didn't show up though, so it was easier.
Yeah. They took the week off, didn't they? Yeah. But I had too much fun with this. But we had to change from the formation that worked against them in Oriel and was working for half an hour today to play 4 at the back, which meant we had to play like RC Davis was playing like sort of a right winger, sort of wing back, depending on whether we had the ball or not. Like the way that we were able to adapt and the way the coaching team were able to get the players to adapt to it was absolutely fantastic tonight. And I think it's one of those things where like he gets abuse from parts of the fan base when things go wrong.
Yeah.
But he absolutely deserves all the credit in the world for how they were set up and then how he got them to rearrange and keep their shape. And also the thing that drives you absolutely bananas when you go down to 10 men is that you take your centre forward off. And he left John Martin up there because
he was having a cracker, let's face it.
Yeah, because Pico Lopez is their most dangerous player because he just kept chipping the ball over the top. So he has to have someone to challenge him.
Yeah.
So like it was just like, he had a really, really good match. Like everybody had a good match apart from, all of the Rovers players.
Everybody right.
Manager.
That's the famous Mark Howland
staff.
leaving a comment there. I wonder could Mark Howland get us on the next big stadium on the televisions. I have to say that video was
excellent,
incredible.
Mark.
Excellent. I thought it was fake. I thought somebody's obviously done this. It was absolute. I watched it 47,000 times. It was incredible. If anybody hasn't seen it, get on to Mark Howland's Twitter page. It was on Instagram as well, but Twitter page. Unbelievable.
We have to open for Muse at some point.
Yes.
Get the podcast on
live. We'll just get you cutting into Rovers, and then just Chris coming on.
Any day of the week, I'll do a full European tour of that. That'd be great. I'd never run out of material.
Yeah. And Sean Hoare shitting himself over by the shed side. I love it. There's a half an hour in that alone.
Chris, when we were on last week, we were kind of talking about. I think we'd mentioned the likes of players that come in on loan, and not having a cracking start of the season. But as many of the comments said tonight, you had the likes of Hayden Muller, Eli Coco had a good first half. I know we kind of went a little bit in the second half, but a good first half. Robbie McCourt, had an outstanding game. Like I know we've rose tinted last tonight, but I thought I might be even over egging it by saying it. But to a man, like 100% everybody, and I don't know if it was just they got into the game. Obviously, the lads from England wouldn't know the rivalry or anything like that. But I mean, they definitely know it after tonight. I know we played them already, but everybody just seemed to dig in tonight. And it's not even if we had have lost, if we had got an equaliser and got beaten, that performance in 90 minutes to a man, Robbie McCourt, Hayden Muller, absolutely outstanding. Like they've had good spells in the games, but on the money every minute of the game, they're outstanding tonight.
I'm just surprised all the way in the comments that no one's mentioning Dara Lee.
Yeah,
my good God, what a performance playing in centre half again.
Unbelievable.
And he's asked to play in there, so many times this year. He's brilliant at it.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant.
Myself, Patsy, and Flano had our three-way conversation when he disappeared off the screen last week about Dara Lee playing in centre half. So we'll take credit for that, boys.
Yeah,
no, but outstanding.
Yeah, no, super. And like I say, like. On Thursday night, we actually questioned, will we see, after today's fixture, will we see Johannes Yonikuko ever again? Because his loan is up. Would you keep him?
You could look him up. I mean, he's not going to vanish off the face of the earth. You will see him if you really, really wanted to. Just not in Oriel.
Just in case. Just in case he's put in a box somewhere and we're not allowed to see him anymore. It goes up on some naughty shelf or something. It's like, no, you're not allowed to see that man ever again. Look what you've done to this poor club. So, but a performance like that tonight makes you think, and Gali, you're the one who said you'd probably keep him around because there's something there about him. And I think tonight was one of them. And the difference being, I seen him get a couple of kicks tonight. Didn't wince about it. He didn't complain about it. Where sometimes when you get a loan lad in, they're kind of like, they're going a bit hard here. I don't, I'm not feeling this game. This is, protecting themselves. I'm thinking about their career, their parent club, rather than impressing right now, because you may not be there forever. You might be here opening your options and stuff like that. So I thought that was real positive from him tonight. Another good performance, done himself absolutely, no problems there. And making make a decision possibly down the line of, do I ask for an extension there for this man? Considering he's probably registered anyway for a European competition. So
and even interested as well on, like, if you look at the flip side of that, you've Conor Malley on the bench. So, we kind of assumed he'd just start because he's been in Skip's plan all season. But it was interesting even to see, albeit Paul Doyle went and mucked that up by getting sent off. But, it's interesting to see just without him, just that little, you have Lewis, Illy, Coco, and even when Sloggett came on as well. So at least you have those options. But, look, we're hoping it's just not a one-off and it's just not the occasion. But, I mean, we said last week, you're right, Illy, Coco, I think there is something there that you wouldn't, unless you got somebody else in the pipeline, I don't really see a reason why you wouldn't try and keep him, whether he wants to or not. Yeah. You've got a chance of European football, hopefully, but...
I think, though, from his parent club point of view, like, there's no harm in him staying here, because if he's not in their immediate plans, then you definitely do keep that Lee header, actually, because Burke, I think, was right in front of him, or was it Johnny Kenny? And I thought, if you try to take a touch here, they're going to nip this off your foot, and they're right in the centre of goal. But it was a lovely little deft head back to Shep, and it was an excellent. But no, I thought Lee was outstanding tonight. Really was outstanding. And even Brownlee, when he came in, he looks.
I was worried. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I was worried when they changed the centre half. I was like, oh no. And like it looked a real. Yeah, and I know he's only got a couple of minutes, and I didn't actually even think he played as recent as June. I think June 4th, maybe last game of the season over there in Scotland. I didn't realize he played as early as that. But he's I know we've only seen maybe 7 or 8 minutes, but when he did come on, he was like, changing the centre half. Jesus, what are we doing here? But he looks assured, more than confident. Obviously, Skip has a lot of faith in wringing him in. But I don't, we almost forgot about him when we spoke in the lineup last week, who would play. We actually completely overlooked the fact that he's a possibility. Whether or not he would have started fit enough, maybe keeping him for later. But yeah, look, again, we've got those options then to kind of, if we're struggling, it's nice to get them all a game, especially in that type of match where it's tighter against those lot. I suppose the best way of putting it on, is it? That lot.
We can call them what they are tonight, fucking shams. But I think everybody had that thing of when you were bringing on a new centre back to make his debut with a couple minutes left in the cup match. You're down to 10 men and 1-0 up. Like, this could be the makings of an absolutely horrendous debut. But there was one of it, like he took it down, and I think it was either Johnny Kenny or Burke that he turned and just calmly came out of the box with the ball. And
that's right.
Passed it out. Like he looked. I thought you were going to say we've only seen 7 or 8 minutes of him, but I'm already putting money on for the Ballon d'Or for next year, because that's how good he was. But I'll get in on that if we want to do like a podcast buster thing of we'll all put money in and we'll all stick it on him for Ballon d'Or, and then you stiff me out of the money at the end when we win.
It's a nice thing.
I'm just going to get this wheel sorted here. Hold on, bring up this wheel. It was something
nobody's safe.
The lad hasn't even gone to your global tires in ages. He's that scared of wheels. For fuck's sake.
As the game, I don't know what minute it was. It's just something that came to me just as we were talking. One of you were spoofing. I don't know what you were saying, but there was an incident in the second half. I think Boyle on the young guy. I can't remember his name. Is he or the young guy to come on for Shamrock Rovers laid on? There was a bit of a tackle on him into the back, and there was a penalty shout for it. Now, for me, it looks like, no, I don't care now because the game's over, but it did look like on any other day, it looked like it might have been a penalty. I think, did we get off it one day, or is it just, it looked like kind of Boyle kind of stepped into the back, and when he kind of, I know he made a meal of it, but it definitely looked like it could have been a penalty. I think Flano said the same.
It did look like he went through him. I had the same reaction of like, that was a bit of a risk. Now, I think it was because I think Boiler then like chased the ball out and like was chasing down the rebound, that he was trying to block a shot at the edge of the box and stuff. So it was like he must have been absolutely knackered for the effort that he had put in and the work that he'd done. But I was a little bit worried about that when he did it, because I thought it could have been. But thankfully, we have League of Ireland referees. Sometimes they see penalties and give them, and sometimes they don't see penalties and don't give them. Whatever, we're all right. We're good.
We got away with it. We'll take it.
Yeah.
If it's, if we get, look, we can talk about different stuff in the game. I'm just thinking, I just see that there's a notification on my phone with the draw that's on Tuesday. If we avoided maybe a top team, then again, we probably are the top team left, let's be honest. But if we avoided, if we got a bit of a run here, and we got a bit of a run in Europe, would there be a kind of a, would they stack something over the other? Would they be looking at, maybe if we can't get into a league title run, do we kind of go with the cup and try into Europe, or do we go for kind of the pairs? Look, I'm not saying that's Iceland's going to be a tough trip next, the next couple of weeks, but is it something that they'd be looking at now? Maybe in their own minds, maybe at the back, and I mean, maybe thinking they might have got beat today, but now that they're in, is it something they're going to be looking at now for the next couple of weeks?
I think knowing Skip, though, he won't prioritize anything over another. He'll always take just, it's the cliche, next game is the next one for him, and the more competitions he's in, the better it is, because I'm sure he's, clamoring to the board looking for more players, and the more competitions he's in, the better, that argument gets for him, I suppose, is the other side of it. But I think it's one of those things where momentum probably plays the bigger part. So if we're winning and we're getting through rounds, then you just want that to keep going. Doesn't matter what competition it is, you just want it to keep going. And then at the same time, you'd like to see possibly, if we can put in a performance like that, like a performance like that tonight, I think is good enough to get a result in Iceland, something to bring back home. Definitely is.
Yes, Chris.
Nailing that one in. And I think then if that's the case, then you're going to go, well, then you want that sort of level of performance then for Damien Duff Shelburne coming then the week after. That's what we call them now, isn't it? Hull City's Damien Duff Shelburne.
I don't even think we have put the Shelburne bit in. I think it's just Damien Duff.
Yeah, I thought it was Hull City's Damien Duff Shelburne FC.
Hullburn.
But and in fairness, he has to just pick whatever team Hull tell him to pick. That's like, he's not even the manager anymore. Just
whoever they've given him to play.
Yeah. Put those lads out there. I'm gonna stop. Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I know it's not true. What am I talking about?
But if we got a good result over on Thursday, I think that'll lead into a good result, possibly then on next Sunday.
I think there's a case of like, if that had been somebody else in the cup today, if it had been a first division team or lower league team or whatever, I don't know how many extra changes he would have actually made, because you want to make sure you win that game. Like I think if anybody was possibly 50-50 for today, like if Pat was 50-50 for today, you'd leave them out because you have two massive games coming. But I don't know. I mean, like I'd assume, he wanted to give Alfie Lewis a start. He wanted to give Paul Doyle a start. Like the players that he brought in, as he said himself, like they all deserve the game time. Like they all deserve to get starting games. It's just the good thing, I guess, is like we were talking about the squad earlier. The squad isn't as big as Rovers is, but we were able to change a good few players today.
Yeah, I think that was the shocking bit. Yeah,
and the level didn't drop. Like we were obviously, you'd be concerned about where the goals are coming from, but like the attitude and everything didn't drop. So like Skip must be absolutely delighted to have gone that level of application from players that haven't been starting every week to come on and like run themselves into the ground or get sent off after half an hour. Like I'm probably not delighted with that bit, but like you would have been looking at the performances and been like, yeah, all these lads have put in the shift in. All of them deserve an opportunity at getting a start in one of the European games. It's just he has the tough bit now of being like, well, I have to go back to what I think is the best 11, and some of these players might not start. But he's like, yeah, he must be delighted with what he got from the squad. Especially today, but like it's been a tough couple of weeks for them with traveling and the heat and the level of opponents who've been playing. So he must be just delighted with them. I see Jason Crawley mentioned that Chris Shields was there. Chris Shields is in the stand beside us in amongst the Dundalk players. He needs to have a sit down with Alfie Lewis and teach Alfie Lewis the art of diving, because Chris used to be the absolute best at getting the free kicks for next to nothing.
But that's
it
because
would
he
just
used to dive and grab the ball at the same time, wasn't it?
Yeah. But that's, he has to teach him how to do it, because you don't want to give away a free kick for handling it. You have to, it has to be it's an art that he needs to teach Alfie, because he got caught a couple of times and you're just like, go down and you get a free kick. Just go down. And so Chris has to, if Chris is listening,
if you're watching, Chris,
yeah, friend of the show and all, go and have a sit down with Alfie.
I've seen there's obviously look on Twitter before the show, and I think there's that consensus that people have, like, there's been some massive wins, in general, over Shamrock Rovers. And look at some heavy defeats and blah blah blah. We won't get into that crack, especially with Donald on. But it's got to be, and I always say you have to mind yourself when you're on this podcast, because it's straight after the match. It's kind of like, it's uncensored, it's live. You can clearly tell we don't edit this at all. Yep. But you're coming straight from the game. It's got to be up there, one of the biggest wins. I know you look at it in the face and say, sure, it's an FAI Cup, it's a 1-0. But I think just with everything that's going on over this season and the injuries we've had, like, even you look at the players coming to congratulate the boys, the injuries, the boys off John Mountney, Robbie Benson, Pat Hooban, like, it's they're all missing from the 11, never mind the squad. It's a massive task. And like with the change tonight, like Donald just mentioned, it's got to be right up there with some of the biggest wins that we've had over Rovers in the last probably decade, hasn't it?
Yeah, it probably is. Well, like, obviously the 2-0 win was probably our best performance in the league only a few weeks ago. But you're talking about the players that were unavailable to us. Like, Keith Ward is hobbling across in his moon boot, doing a big sarcastic wave at all the Shamrock Rovers fans after the match on his way off. I thought that was a particular highlight for myself tonight. I was like, fair play, Wardy. Not even playing, just winding up the opposition. As only Wardy could. But yeah, it's probably one of them that if you take all the elements of the 2 Shamrock Rovers games recently in Oriel Park, that's the level we want this team to get to. And they can reach it clearly. And they can be disciplined now, I think is the new thing we're starting to see. I think at the start of the year it was erratic performances, clumsy performances at times, and you'd expect maybe more from individuals. Towards now, I think you're starting to see people who have dialed into exactly what Skip wants, and whether that's with the ball, without the ball, 10 men, 9 men, whatever we go up against these days and what we have.
You just know.
You never know. You never know. But, there seems to be a plan B, C, D now nearly at this stage. And that's making a big difference. And like you mentioned, if only all the other personnel came back, you would say, like, plan A is our number one plan, is really good all the time. And that's with everybody available. Plan B is okay. Depending on personnel, that could easily work. C, D is probably even harder. But if you don't have those personnel available, it's next to impossible to implement those. And we lamented in the last show of how inconsistent our back four had been over the past while. And is it any? We probably shouldn't be so surprised when we start to see a far more. Although today would be the exception rather than the rule, that when we see this far more settled team, we start seeing improvement in performances.
Yeah.
And that's not just as in results, as in performances on the pitch. I think individuals are starting to look a whole lot better now as well.
Done.
I'm done. Good night.
I think, and you're right. And just on that one, I see people commenting, and I don't want to leave it too late, just in case people are really hungry and they want to try and get it in tonight and order.
Oh yeah, go do a pizza.
We'll go with our man of the match. Obviously, you have a man of the match pizza. I don't think we done. Did we do one last week, Chris? I can't even remember. I think it was that
on Thursday night. We didn't because it was way too late to even talk about food.
Nobody wanted food at that time, really. So I'm going to jump in straight out the gate. I want to set the ball rolling because I'm going to leave Donald to last. He's our special guest tonight, and we're going to go last and see who we get off. So I come on thinking there's 3 or 4. I mean, Muller, Robbie McCourt were actually, and Chris, you'd mentioned obviously Darrell Lee, but for me, I don't really think there's anything as solid. And I think even John Flanagan mentioned the pace might be gone in Andy Boyle, but the head and the reading of the game, and that's what we've always hoped for this season, has been top class. And I just thought he rolled back the years tonight, especially reading the ball. Like, Johnny Kenny isn't slow. He's quick across the ground. I know players are good all over.
We're giving him time though.
Yeah, and you have Graham Burke as well and stuff like that.
He'll make a mistake.
But it's, Boyle was absolutely outstanding tonight. He's even given away a penalty that wasn't a penalty, and the referee didn't even see it. It's great. So for me, man of the match all day long. Mark Carroll, San Siro genius. He's going for Andy Boyle as well. So Chris, we'll go to you.
Yeah, look, it's you're probably looking towards the defence again today, just being such a standout performance. I thought Shepherd was back to his best, is one way of putting it. His collection under the high ball, exceptional. His time killing, exceptional tonight as well. And for that touch that when pinging off the top to kill another couple of seconds, that was brilliant. Muller, best performance in a Dundalk jersey without a doubt. Look really good, and I like Leahy as well, but I think Leahy played so well because of Boiler beside him today. So yeah, it's got the heart of a lion and the arse of a rhinoceros. So yeah, I'm with Andy Boyle for me.
I think you should get your own pizza for that comment. I think that should be the outcome of this.
We've had some one-liners on these podcasts. Jesus Christ. Mr. Hines.
So I think we've probably name-checked everybody. Archie Davis was great again. It's kind of just the performance. His performance level has leveled off at being really good. That you kind of just take for granted. The amount of work that he does, the amount of energy he has, the run he does, all that stuff. I thought he was really good, but keeper would have been a good shout. But yeah, like I get Hayden Muller getting it. The sponsors man of the match and stuff that he had a great game and got the winning goal and all that. But Andy Boyle is to me the man of the match. And it's the kind of performance that you're like, that's what you expect. That's what we think Andy Boyle is. That's the performance that we got today. It's like that's a typical Andy Boyle performance. Like he was absolutely fantastic. Like there's a couple of times where you think he's in trouble and he's not. He gets out of trouble. He's he was excellent, I thought. So I'll say Andy Boyle, man of the match. Good shout for what's his name? Hoare as well. That would have been funny. Could we just send the pizza to Sean Hoare to cheer up?
Oh, now we're talking.
If he had stayed on the pitch for the full match, he would have had to give it to him at a
Yeah, no toppings on it. No toppings on the pizza, just the base.
And just when the guy, if a guy is delivering it to the door, to just put it on the ground and tie his shoelaces and wait a couple of seconds before actually delivering the pizza to him.
Just when he put his hands out, just put it on the ground like the multi balls that we had today. Just goes to take it for another ball comes in.
Turn your back to him. Tie your laces and then come off whenever you feel like it.
And then go, oh wait, sorry, this isn't your one, and just take the pizza away.
So we've a clean sweep, lads. Clean sweep for Andy Boyle. I think there's been plenty in it for tonight, but I think even going by the comments, there's one or two mentions of I think maybe Leahy, Muller, but I think we're going to go by the process of eliminating. Unfortunately, Mark Carroll, for all the work you've done, I don't know where in the world you are tonight. So we can't send you.
He's in Italy, no?
Is he still in Italy though? The San Siro thing was done a couple of days ago, so I don't know when it was done. So he's close to Italy. Hopefully he's not in Greece because there's terrible stuff going on over there at the minute. But Gavin Moore will give you the pizza tonight. Andy Boyle, fantastic performance, reading the game, brilliant man of the match. Yeah, couldn't agree more, Gavin. So look, contact Tony's Pizzeria. We let him know that you've won the pizza for tonight, and best of luck with it. Lads,
to be fair, I think Mark was in Italy. He could be fed up a pizza anyway.
That's it. Pizza. It'd just been pasta pizzas, so he's going on salads. But I think
I like Jason Crawley's comment there, by the way.
Yeah, right. That was the next bit. I was just going to see anything we do with anybody struggling to put it up on this podcast. If you mention Stewie Bourne, it'll go on the screen.
Yeah, I was just going to say I think I could do a full podcast.
That's the other half an hour
comment. Again, I know we've done this earlier on. If you guys want to go and have a nap, go do a bit of housework, whatever, you can come back and I'll still be having a rant about this. I'll go
and think about my Andy Boyle comment.
So this actually has been driving me nuts.
Yeah, it seems to be a topic that's spilling over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so this thing, right? I still think they're going to win the league, right? And they're going to have won it. Was it 3.5 times? So there is the argument of being like they haven't been pushed as hard as they could have been. Now, the one thing I would say is we got to a group stage of the Europa League and took points from massive teams in Europe and played brilliant football against massive teams in Europe. I don't remember there being a thing of if only somebody was pushing them more. Like, I know Cork were our rivals at the time, but we were winning the league as consistently as Rovers are winning the league. And I don't think the argument was like, imagine how good they'd be if they were playing against teams as good as them every week, because it's not realistic. I don't know what this idea that, like, if they were challenged more, they'd be able to get to into the Europa League. They wouldn't. Like, it's the argument that people make about Paris Saint-Germain. It's the argument people make about Celtic and Rangers. It's all like, it's all just, it's so silly. And they need to be winning the league at a canter every year for this to be a case. And it's not. They need to be winning the double every year for this to be a case. And they don't.
Yeah.
They played. I do say this, you know, with the greatest of respect, because they have won the league a couple of times. They play absolutely rubbish football.
Yeah.
Like, we were leaving the middle of the field completely empty against a team that are supposed to be dominating the league and going off into Europe and getting results. A half-decent team has, say if Graham Burke has awareness to do it, the middle of the field is completely open. Stop playing the ball over, work your way through where the space is. It's like their football just wasn't good. And I get statistically and all that, like, they have won the league whatever amount of times, but they are in a pretty tough spot with the age of the squad. I think I've mentioned the couple of 100-year-old players that they have, that they still rely on, and they still haven't replaced.
No.
And they were able to win the league. By the way, when I said you could go for a cup of tea, I wasn't messing. They have won the league based on how strong their squad has been. That they've always had.
Yeah.
For the few years that they've won the league, they've had enough good players to get them goals, to win them games, to keep them clean sheets. That's how they've done it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the idea that they're not being challenged and that's why they're not doing well in Europe is nonsense. It's just nonsense. I don't subscribe to it at all. And I saw
sheer weight of numbers, isn't it, in their squad?
That's the thing. Like, they pick off they've been able to pick off the best players in the League of Ireland for the last 4 or 5 years. They were starting to do it before the end of our period of dominance. They were starting to pick players off because they're able to pay whatever, and it's in Dublin and all that crack. Like, it's not. And I'm not, in all seriousness, not trying to take away anything that they've achieved, because they have gotten into a group stage of Europe and gotten no points. No, they got a point, didn't score a goal, but they have won the league the years that they've won the league. Like, you can't take that away from them. But this idea that it's
playing
somehow
sensational. Yeah,
and it's somehow everybody else's fault.
They're leaving teams in their wake behind them throughout the league, hammering teams off the pitch. Like, it's just non-existent, isn't it?
Yeah, and like, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of weeks, I did see a few people talking about Bradley being in trouble. Like, in the next couple of weeks, if
he's put out of Europe,
the dog's saying it too. But if they go out of Europe in the next round, if they go out of Europe in the next round, then even if they do win the league, which the problem is, like, the consistency of the teams beneath them. And I know that that's what the argument is, of like, that's why they're not being pushed and that's why it's our fault. But they have to expect more. Like, they have to expect a couple of doubles at the very least. And Peter Collins conspiracy theory. I can't.
That is true.
But
another pizza out. We've just got the comment of the night.
But yeah, I don't subscribe to that at all. I understand it, but I don't agree with it. And even just like, sorry, but the other thing that annoys me too is when people Sorry, what time is this going to be over at? When people say like, oh, they're not being challenged enough, but Drogheda have beaten them and we've beaten them. And it's like, that's every team loses games. Like that's not the, I don't think that's a valid argument, because then people will come back and say, oh, they've won the league, so everyone loses games, yada, yada, yada. I think the level of football that they're playing is nowhere near the level of football that they can look at everyone else and be like, no one's at our level, because
people are almost getting blinded by like the facilities of the pitch and the names of the players. But like, you're right, they're not wiping the floor with teams like even what like Kenny did the back of the day. That's people are blinded by what they have rather than what they're doing with it.
Can you just throw off Ross Cullen's comment there, because
there's a balanced opinion. Fair play to him.
Yeah, Dundalk were not good, one chance and they took it, which is, I guess, that's how an opposition team would look at what we did today. But the football that they play is woeful. Like, it is.
So just for anyone listening in later on, I suppose, Shamrock Rovers fan Ross Cullen just messaged in there just saying that the football Bradley plays is woeful, and he was at the game today and it was sideways, backwards football. Dundalk were not good, but one chance and they took it. And look, I think that's, like I say,
the main thing to take from that is Donald's not off his head. That's what I've heard. So there is people out there that agree with us.
Well, the one thing, actually, the main
if
thing
anybody was worried.
Nobody gives a shit. But the main thing is like fair play to Ross for watching, because if he's made it this far, he has had to listen to some unfortunate commentary on
what grinds my gears with Donald Hang's section.
Yeah, new podcast coming next year.
But like, there's a point in there though as well, like, because if you just take what Donald's just said and talk about the budget and everything else that Shamrock Rovers has, the facilities and how easy they can attract players. If the football's not good now, that is now starting to probably come down to Bradley and his team. They're not kicking them on to the next level, and that shouldn't be whether. If you want to go down that route for the argument of, well, there's no other teams challenging them, that should be an internal thing by Bradley and everybody at Shamrock Rovers to drag League of Ireland football to a new level, because that's what Stephen Kenny literally did. Like they broke that glass ceiling of what a League of Ireland team looks like, down to analysis and the way the players looked after each other and the training methods and everything else. And the only way you do it and reach the new heights is if you tear up the rule book and say, well, if you think that level is good, we're going to do even better. And you don't need another team pushing you for that. That should be just what you want to do as being to be the number one team, and that's what you should be doing. And like, that's clearly not happening. And that's down to.
That's down to coaching, but there's still levels that they can get to that, like within the domestic game, that they haven't gotten to. No. So this thing
you would like India to have every cup sitting in the trophy cabinet then to be talking like that, saying, well, we can't win anymore. What do we do? It's like Rosenborg.
Yeah. Sorry, this isn't the Shamrock Rovers podcast, so we should probably stop talking about them.
Yep.
No, but it's good to get it.
It's on next week, Tales from the East End.
It's rare we get comments in, you know what I mean, from, people from other clubs.
There's a level of frustration, because they're probably seeing this whole season could easily implode on them right now.
Yeah.
And that'll be the worry. Because with the budget and everything else that the Shamrock Rovers have, they should be achieving a whole lot more. They should be running away with this league right now. I think that's the thing. And like, Gaffney is their only shining light right now. That'll be the scary part for them. And when he went off injured, I actually thought, oh, the nice one, because I seen him in Europe and everything in the game against Derry. I don't think they done anything in Tallaght Stadium bar that one chance that Gaffney hadn't scored and won. That's it. Good night.
Yeah, they played far better in Oriel the last time when he came on. Like he gives them something, and it definitely, I think the whole place probably was delighted when he went off, because he is the one that you're thinking he's going to create something. He might not score, but he just plays in that like sort of off centre forward spot on the left and just creates everything for them, as far as I can see. And then for them to lose him, there's an argument to say everything goes through Jack Byrne. There's an argument to be saying everything goes through Gaffney. But now with those two players unavailable, like, someone else needed to stand up tonight and make a name for themselves, and it was non-existent. Farrugia is is a massive
Frugia
miss.
too, sorry, yeah.
A massive miss for them, because you look at who they've been like cycling players in at right wing back, and it's like that would just be his spot and whatever. But again, it isn't the Shamrock Rovers podcast, and we've just somehow managed to talk about Shamrock Rovers again, because everybody loves Shamrock Rovers and stuff. So we're all obsessed.
So blame Peter Collins for that.
So just a nice segue. We'll take Peter Collins, Ross's comments, the Peter Collins conspiracy theory, European football. Obviously, our next game is the mighty K of Iceland. And look at, if anything, this year and last year's games that go by, it's just in European football in general. Icelandic teams seem to, especially in the early doors of the draw, seem to do really well. What are we going to be looking at? Are we going to be looking at? Are they going to go back to what we played in Gibraltar, similar team if available, or are we going to stick with what we may be seeing tonight? Chris, we'll go to you for that one, because Donald's thinking, God, I just had a love in the Shamrock Rovers.
It's probably. I think like earlier on, I was looking at KA just to, because obviously I knew nothing about them, and I was like, right, well, actually have a look and see what they're like. But they are massively inconsistent. They're sitting 9th in their league at the moment.
Yeah,
and they've only scored something like 16 goals in 14 games, yet conceded 26. So they are absolutely struggling right now, and for some sort of level of consistency. And I know you could say the same with us at times this year too. But we'll probably never have a better opportunity of getting through. I think it won't be the same personnel we've seen there tonight, because clearly he's, has kept Pat Houghton back to have him available for Thursday. They actually play tomorrow night. So Stephen O'Donnell's flying out early tomorrow to go over and watch them and staying there then as the rest of the club comes in then after on the charter flight. So I don't know if there's dodgy streams.
Football friends, Chris. Football friends. You knew that information.
See, I really thought for all my years on this, I probably need to come in with a little bit of tidbit that I'm sitting behind the camera and not just be on my phone scrolling as the interviews happen. So I actually paid attention tonight. Look at all the shit I have, lads. So it's interesting. I don't know if we can, have a look out for any streams or something tomorrow, because we might actually get a chance to see them. I think it's a 7 o'clock kickoff or something like that. So it might be worth keeping an eye out for them. But from what I see on them, I would say they don't look like they're scoring a whole lot of goals. I think they're second or third least amount of goals scored in their division. So let's not give them massive opportunities, really what I'm saying. It doesn't look like they take a whole lot of them, but let's not give them a gift wrapped one and leave it sitting there for them to tap in or something. Let's try to be as professional as we can be. And I think if we came back with a 0-0 draw in that game, would it be annoyed? Absolutely not. Because the way we've performed of late in Oriel Park, I think we can do it. The fact we got one more game in Oriel Park, we should absolutely go for it.
Yeah, and I think even now, playing a couple of years ago, if your first game's away, you're always thinking, right, away goals. And obviously, with the changes and stuff, it's not the worst thing to come back, maybe a 1-0 or a 2-1, if you can get on the score sheet, if they do. But yeah, like a 0-0 draw, obviously the heat won't be, hopefully, I don't know what the weather's like in Iceland this time of year, but obviously Gibraltar's going to be
rain we had yesterday.
Yeah, it's going to be like, you're not going to have that issue, but you'd like to think over the two legs. I don't want to be talking again, but teams that we don't really know a lot about, but provided we're fully fit and we carry the motivation from tonight, Donald, I think it's it is a couple of nights away, but we could maybe get something out of it, even if it's a draw and it's 0-0. Look, that's probably the most positive thing we can look for, rather than a 1-0 or a 2-1 win for them. I don't know if we go over and beat them over there, but like Chris says, a 0-0 you take back to Oriel Park against anybody.
Yeah, I mean, all you're looking for is just to still be in the tie.
Yeah,
in the second leg, and we could say like, oh, we don't want to lose. We don't want to lose the game. Obviously, you don't want to lose the game. But then you might watch the game and be like, we had dozens and dozens of chances and didn't take them, and we still lost 1-0 or whatever. So I think it is just a case of just getting it back to Oriel. And as long as we're in with a shout in Oriel, we've obviously done something right. Like away games have always been tough in Europe. So just staying in the game is all we have to do on Thursday, and then hopefully have another massive night in Oriel.
I think that's it though. Just stay in this tie, because you don't want to go gun ho over there and then, you know, have made a big mistake that it's an unattainable lead to actually come back home and overturn. You just want to stay in this, be as compact as you can. It's a weird one because you nearly don't want to give away your full game plan, because even at the end of that, you're only halfway through this tie.
Yeah.
And if you play a certain way, like if you take the Bruno's Magpie was like, that wasn't how we were going to play. One, the conditions and everything else when we played in Gibraltar. But when we got back home, even though it's still not the complete performance by any means, but you could see elements of it that work well. Like our set pieces is suddenly really working for us now and it's starting to turn into a threat. So I think there's element of that. And I think Skip will be quite guarded, I would say, going over there. If there's opportunities, you know, to win the game, you have to go for it. And that's the way he's always been, you know, and sometimes we've lamented him for that, kind of saying, Jesus, could we not have just taken a draw here, you know? But I think that way and that method will probably work to our advantage, that he'll know how and why we need to stay in this game. And it's over two legs. You don't want to give anything away too early. You don't want to give the result away too early, as in the tie, and you just want to stay in it, and that's it. I would gladly take a draw and come back.
Yeah, I think that's probably from away from home in the first leg. That's what everybody probably wants for. And that Paul Casey comment there is probably absolute music to Donald Hanks' ears. That's just bookends his night of perfect podcasting for Donald Hanks. Cheers for that, Paul.
He probably doesn't. Look, I think I'm out. Apart from that, maybe he was just jealous of Garth's hair. Full head of hair on him. Doesn't like a full-headed hair.
Doesn't like the competition, yeah.
No, doesn't. I think there's a particular gust of wind that I'm sure he's not looking forward to. That's going to blow that bit of hair that he's got stapled to the back of his head back forward, and people realize he's got like a really slick Bobby Charlton hat. And look,
I love when he shows the send into chaos, lads. I love it.
Yeah.
And on that note.
Before I do forget,
I
met a big fan of the show tonight, Dara O'Connor, and Tom's wee lad come up and says, "You on that podcast?" I said, "Yeah." "Give me a shout out." I says, "Yeah, well, of course." And with that, no. Then he turned around to me and said, "You talk much on it?" I was like, "Great." At least he recognizes me. So he gives me one that and takes away with the other.
Yeah. You can't beat the blunt, brute honesty of a child.
Yeah. So Dara, big shout out from us all here.
Yes, Dara, please insult Chris the next time you see him.
Lads, a shout out segment. What grinds my gears?
We will. That's what we do. We'll do our shout out. We'll get a consistent week, and we get all the shout outs out, and they'll all be for Donald.
Yeah.
But lads, look, we're not getting on. We actually usually start at this time, but we're an hour and 15 in now. We've, Sunday night, and people are probably just either in the pub.
Before you start saying we're going to stroll a result again, is that what you're trying to say? You're going to get off?
No. I don't. I'm never going to.
We'll hammer them when we get back.
Yeah, that's why we don't do the predictions anymore, because they've been so awful over the last couple of weeks. I can't concede it into Chris and Dean anymore. But lads, look, we look forward to next Thursday night. I actually thought I'd miss the next podcast because I'm away, but it's not till Friday morning, so I will be here. So nobody panic. Okay. But look, I appreciate everybody coming on. Thanks to our sponsors, Dundalk Village. Our tops, obviously, I don't have mine tonight. I had to downgrade the playoff it. The authentic jersey. Shout out to Tony's Pizzeria, who have recently changed our logo when we put them on the sleeve of our t-shirt. Playoff Fit for designing the gear. And look, thanks for everybody to comment. We've stayed consistent the whole night. Thanks to Ross as well. Shamrock Rovers fans are commenting in. It's nice to get comments from different clubs fans, and at least they're agreeing with us and not, giving out that we're talking absolute BS, which we do most of the time. But look, until next time in the Iceland games, come on to town.